Hi everyone, let's talk about Pandemic the Cure. If you're wondering where it all is, I just did a playthrough for it. It's linked in the description. So I love Pandemic. You can see on this channel other iterations that I've done playthroughs of Iberia, of Rising Tide, of Legacy, all sorts of different versions. And yeah, to varying degrees, I really enjoyed them all. Absolutely loved them. It's one of my favourite games, definitely grouping a lot of them together. It's in my top 10, and Pandemic the Cure is kind of exactly what I want from a dice game. It gives, the feel of Pandemic in a much shorter time frame and a more frantic time frame. It's not a real-time game, but it really manages to pile on that pressure while giving you, it gives you a lot of options. You're very different based on your roles, not just for your roles as you are in Pandemic in terms of the special power of your role, but also in terms of your dice. Everyone has a unique set of dice. Sometimes you get more dice. Sometimes you are much better at treating things, and you, like the scientist, is restricted in how she can get across the map. She can only travel by boat, which really limits you, especially if something that's really in trouble is on the other side of the world. That's either going to take most of your actions, and you might have to keep re-rolling, which always ups your risk. It's one of those lovely things, like in games that are admittedly real-time, but say Escape Coast to the Temple or Project Elite, where you can reroll your dice as much as you want, but there is a side that you don't want on there. And in this case, when you roll that biohazard symbol, not only is that dice locked now and out, that's one fewer action you're going to take this turn, you are also advancing this infection rate that can cause epidemics that you really don't want to happen, and depending on your particular situation right now, it could be terrible. If you've got loads of dice that are treated and in the center, they all get scooped up and re-rolled back out into the map. That can be absolutely devastating, as well as re-rolling extra dice based on your new infection rate. And then, if it happened at the end of your turn, you then have to infect cities with that same number of dice again. Yeah, it can really spiral out of control. That said, it can also, being a dice game, it can end up, not very often, but there have been enough times where I've played through it and it's been just plain sailing all the way, because while there are certainly other things that can make you lose the game, the key thing that is ramping up the difficulty and the pressure on you is rolling those biohazard symbols and increasing the infection rate. And through maybe being lucky with your actions and not re-rolling your dice very much, or just being lucky and not rolling many of that symbol just anyway, the infection rate stays really low. You're not infecting many cities each time. You're not getting those extra rolls when the epidemics happen. But that's just something to bear in mind. It's not something that is a negative on the game for me, just because of it's kind of in its nature of a dice game, and also it's so quick. It says 30 minutes on the box, and I'd say even, it depends on your player count of course, but yeah, even less than that. It's a game that I have I've played so many times solo, especially when I don't have as much time for it now, but when I was really into solo gaming, there's definitely been times where I just kept resetting and trying again, just keep going, keep trying to win on heroic difficulty. Never ended up managing that. But yeah, I absolutely love how this takes the game that I really love anyway, and gives you it gives it a breath of fresh air. It gives it a different way of going about it while you're still doing the same things. You're still treating things, traveling around, trying to find cures for things, and the way that you cure all the dice in one go if you've managed to cure it. That's similar to how the cubes work in Pandemic. So it's got some of that knowledge. If you're already familiar with Pandemic, it's a lot of it is already baked in there for you. A lot of the knowledge that you need to know. It just transfers a little bit based on how the dice system works. I really like the event system as well, rather than just randomly drawing them from the player deck like in Pandemic. They are out here on display. We know what's available to us. We just have to, it's down to chance how many opportunities we get to deploy those events. We have to wait until Infect Cities rolls the cross symbol to give us kind of currency to spend on those events. But it's a nice bit of planning. It's a nice thing that we can see that's available. When we've got 2 or 3 of the symbol out there, we can kind of see, well, we could do this now. That's quite useful. But there's a load of dice in the treatment center. Maybe we want to wait and use that event card that's going to get a load of dice out there when we really think that it's going to affect us. But yeah, I would say that's the only thing that I can see as a big. If you don't like Pandemic, of course, I don't think this is going to change much of your mind, unless your complaint with Pandemic is that the cubes didn't have pips on them. But I would say that the main thing is maybe this is more down to chance, but it being a dice game, yeah, I can't fault it for that, but yeah, I could see it maybe being a problem over people that maybe like Pandemic that wouldn't like that about The Cure, but I absolutely love it. I mentioned at the end of the playthrough, it's got an expansion that I couldn't get at the time that it came out, but I recently happened upon a deal for it, and the expansion comes with, it adds the purple disease that you'll be familiar with if you've played the Pandemic, is On the Brink expansion that added that in there, and it adds more events and stuff, but the key thing, and probably the reason it was so expensive when it came out, is that it comes with loads more roles for the players to play as, and the roles come with not just a nice little name tag thing and a player pawn, but custom dice for every single one. Looking forward to trying that out. I haven't had chance yet. I'm always filming these videos, but when I get around to it, maybe you're a patron. Patreon.com/slickerdrips if you'd like to be one, and you'd like to suggest that I play through the expansion. But hey, that's up to you, isn't it? I love Pandemic: The Cure. Hopefully the playthrough will help you decide whether you would be interested in it. I'm going to go now. Bye, everyone.